Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. Today, we're back into our Let's Play tutorial of Distant Worlds 2, the new game that's just coming out in a couple of days. We got the preview copy, and we're working through this tutorial, so you're all ready to go when the game comes out. I will be putting up a lot of these videos today and tomorrow in anticipation, so you can watch those, and as soon as the game drops, you can start playing it because you understand all of it, right? Well, that's the goal. We'll see. We'll see. We see the Escalon system. This is where our Actarians, the Act Supremacy, reside, and as we get down here, you can see Escalon. The star, and as we get down even further, you can see we're all the way out here on the edge. We are rotating around Escalon 5 on a deep ocean moon where Actarians like to live. And so as we get down here, we had just kind of gotten going. We talked quite a bit about exploration. And one of the things I did last time is this scout ship, the Weary Pearl, right? If we want to know how many scout ships we have, we could go look here, exploration ships. So again, just remember that because I think it throws people off when they first start. When you click on exploration, then there are 4 other buttons down here that will show you anything and everything you want to know about exploration. Okay, we only have 1 exploration ship, but we can always come and look at all of them and select them. You double click them and you go right to them. We do have that on manual, and what I did last time, the scout ship was over here, the Weary Pearl. Yeah, the Weary Pearl. I had to look twice. There it is, the Weary Pearl. It was over here, and I said, I want you to go scout Escalon 5, our big gas giant that our moon rotates around. Well, we don't actually want to do that, but I wanted to show you how slowly it moves before you get warp. So we started here, we've gone about a month, and in a month we've gotten to here. So before you have warp drives, you just don't move very fast. So what we're going to do is actually take the Weary Pearl, and we're just going to say, go to the Actarian Spaceport. Why are we going to do that? We're going to wait for the warp drives. And you see early Warfield experiments, we're at 51%. We're 1.78 years away from getting the skip drive. Once we get the skip drive, we're going to want to refit or retrofit this to have that, and then it'll just be able to jump over here very easily. As is, if we just moved pre-warp over here, we would be about here, about the time we've completely researched the warp drive. Then we'd get here, it'd have to come all the way back. It'd be like a 5-year mission. Instead, we'll just wait. And so when you're first starting out here, I would say wait until you get the warp drive to really go anywhere or do anything, because it's just a waste of your resources and time to be out there doing it. What else do we have over here? Well, we have a construction ship that has not yet been constructed, right? You can see just the husk of it here. Probes are coming out from our home moon to build that. We also, now those are the 2 capital ships that we have building, okay? Construction ships are capital ships, scout ships are capital ships. They are government ships. I can say capital or state or government. It all kind of means the same thing. Then we have 3 civilian ships that are queued up here. A cargo shuttle, another cargo shuttle, and finally a miner. Those are all civilian ships that our civilians have said, hey, will you build these for us? Okay, and so they're waiting in the queue because if you remember in our preferences, we said build state or capital ships first, okay? So this construction ship's going to have to build first before it will start on that. Now that brings us to our next point, which is we have now gotten an advisor suggestion. The first time we've gotten one of these, and it says we need to build a ship. And it says we need to build another exploration ship for 3,396 credits. Well, if we look up here at our credits, we've got 30,000, okay? And we have a positive cash flow of plus 226. So that looks good. And if they think we need another exploration ship, that's fine by me. I mean, you want to start building these ships. Now, you do have to maintain those ships, and that's one of the big expenses you have in the game is maintaining your fleet. It takes quite a few credits to make sure that these ships are, up to snuff. And so that's the regulator that keeps you from just spamming and building ships, to infinity is you have to maintain them, and it takes a lot of credits to do that. But we're early on. We should be building exploration ships if we can. So, build ships. Well, before we click on that, let's actually go up here to ship construction. So, we've looked at exploration. We will look at mining and resources. We will look at science and military and all that. But we're going to skip over here to ship construction and look at this screen. Okay, and when we do that, let's go through the tour. Ship designs, okay? We will be able to eventually, and let's just go to a scout ship. Which one is the scout ship? The navigator, the exploration ship. This right here is the base. This is the template for an exploration ship for our empire at this point. It will tell you what the build cost is, how much maintenance per year, when this template was created, the size of the vessel, how many we already have, the design and retrofit, whether they're automatic or manual. Active? I don't know. I don't know what active. We'll have to look at that some other time. But when you click on this then and you go to edit, it will bring up this ship and you can see it here. Components. These are all of the different components that we currently have available to us based on our research. Now, we will be able to research many other things, but this is what we start with, right? And you can see here in red, these are weapons. Yellow, these are engines. These are survey or sensors in green. These are the basic things, cargo bays, command centers, crew systems in white. Now, we are not going to be changing the template. And I would say never do it on edit, right? I just hit edit and came in here just because I wanted to look at it. Now, design bays. This is actually what's on the ship, all right? So you have bays that are on the ship. So right here, this is a bay that's lit up here. And if you look over there to the left, it says this bay is empty. Okay, let's go to plasma torpedo, and then it lights up on the ship. Those are all the different bays that you have on a ship. And once we have a lot more components available, we'll be able to go in here and change the template to make the ship faster, to make it be able to go further, to have it use less energy, to have more weapons, more defense, whatever the heck it is that we want to do. We'll take the components up here and we'll put them down here. Now you have to have certain things on your craft, okay? And that when you go over here to the design overview, it'll tell you if you're missing something. All right? So I'm not going to save this. So I'm just going to take the plasma torpedoes off of here if I can. If I remember how. Oh my gosh. Oh, I haven't started the design. Okay, I'm not going to do that, sorry. But you can take these things off, and as you take them off, up here in the recommendations, it will turn red and say you have got to, let's say, have a basic crew system on board of every ship. Right? So if you don't have that, it'll tell you this in red. Then it gives you all of the stats of the ship, the rating, attack, defend, scanner, speed, and maneuverability, how much energy it uses. You can see when it reaches top speed and how fast it goes when it gets there. Cruise speed, slow, hyper. You can see the turn rate. I mean, this thing's incredible, right? How much energy this uses for different weapon types. On and on and on. And we will eventually get into all of this. It says the design cannot be changed because it's in use. Got it. That's why I couldn't change it. I thought so. Now, when we do, or when you do, build a new template, and we'll learn how to do that eventually, we're going to do copy as new, right? You always want to keep the basic template just in case you need to revert back to it. Let's say your empire gets really, messed up, and for whatever reason you want to build low-cost ships or something like that, or not the fancy ones. You want to keep your basic template. So I usually would change this to basic scout template, right? Then I'll copy as new and create a new one that starts with that as the base, and then we can go in and customize the ships we want. Okay, but that's more advanced than where we are now. I just like to show people that because it's really an incredible feature of this game that you can customize your ship so much. You just don't see that very often. So ship construction, okay, ship designs, and right now we're in the this build order. Let's move over here to construction yards. Ship designs, state ships under construction. One, that's that construction ship, right? Civilian ships under construction. Three, that's these three, okay? Idle spaceport yards. Two, what does that mean? Well, let's go down to our construction yards. You can build ships, or you have construction yards at two different places basically. Colonies like Trawas, and you can see the red emanating out from that, or your spaceports. And so you can see when we hover over that, does the red come out of the spaceport? No, it doesn't. So just off Trawas. Okay, so we currently have two different places that have construction yards. And if we look here, we'll get a breakdown of what that looks like. The ancient Actarian spaceport has two construction yards, so it will be able to be building two different ships at the same time. Wait time is currently 0 seconds. Okay, that's seconds in real time, let's say. Okay, um, build speed 3.30 per second. So it's going to be building, if something is, let's say, a 300 size, this will build 3.30 of that per second. Repair speed 990. Strength is 438 because this spaceport actually has its own defenses, right? And so that's how the game shows defenses, that lightning bolt there. So its defense value is 438, which is actually, fairly strong at the start of the game. Its health is 100%. It's not been hit by anything. And the maintenance cost is 425 credits. They're quite expensive to maintain, relatively speaking. Okay, now let's remember that build speed of 3.3 and the repair speed of 9.9. Let's go to Trawas. It's only got one construction yard on the moon, okay? The wait time is currently 846 seconds of real time. Why is that? Well, that's because it's building the construction ship. And as we're hovering over here, you see the construction ship out there. So it's only got one construction yard and it's building that, so there is a wait time. Its build speed, though, is 2.04 per second. The repair speed, 2.04 per second. So as you can see, this is 3.30 per second and 9.90 per second. So you're going to want to build things at the spaceport. Long story short, right? Trawas has a very basic construction yard. Now, we will research things to make these go faster and do better, but as of right now, we're going to want to be building things out at the spaceport. So it's up here at the top. All right, currently we have nothing building there. New construction yard locations. This will show you when you take over a new colony or you build a new spaceport that you have a new construction yard available. It's very handy just to look when your empire gets really big. But for now, we just need to, the construction yards. Construction ships. The Sneaky Renegade, and that's what this ship is that we're selecting on here. I like the name, Sneaky Renegade. Okay, it is being constructed. So we have it, but you see it here in red. Health is 32%, under construction 10%. It's got no mission, of course, it hasn't been built. We're going to turn that to manual. And just like everything else in this game, you can go to manual control, usually where you select it. You could do it down here, right, on the Sneaky Renegade, or in any of the kind of listings of this type of thing. Build order. This will, if you want to build a huge batch of things all at the same time, you would come here. For now, we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's go back to our construction yards, and our construction yards are going to be a little bit automated at this point. The spaceport just came online, right? And so it will start working on these. But first of all, we're going to come back over here and we're going to say build ships. So this pops up here as a suggestion. It will go away if you don't respond to it in, let's say, a minute or so. So it pops up here. You got to make a decision, but if you don't make a decision, it just goes away. Nothing happens, and that's because we just have this on suggestions, not the other, which is suggestion. And if you don't say no, it goes ahead and builds it anyway. So let's build ships. Okay? And now, what do we see? If we go over here to the ancient Agdarian spaceport, we now have a shipbuilding over here. It's an exploration ship. Now, I get that that's a little bit smaller, and someone asked me, hey, the eyesight, why don't we go back for the tutorial to normal size? I had taken down the interface to small. I agree with that. Let's go to standard. I don't think it looks quite as sharp, but I think for a tutorial, it makes a hell of a lot of sense for you to be able to see what's going on. Call me crazy. Okay, now you can see this better, right? Ancient Agdarian Spaceport. You can now see the Jubilant Express, an exploration ship, is awaiting construction there. Now there is no wait time, and so that should start to build immediately. We've taken our other scout ship and we've just said, just go to the ancient Agdarian spaceport, hang out there. We've got Trawaz, our home moon, building the construction ship. That all looks good. Okay, so I think what we'll do is get off of this for a moment and we'll go ahead. Oh, time's going. Time's going. Is that true? Now it's going. Okay, so now we're just going to kind of let this run a little bit. And while we do, I'm going to go back to ship construction and let's go through the tour of construction. So this is going to be kind of the construction uh, tutorial, the episode. This button opens the designs list where you can see all of your ship and base designs for your empire. So we talked about this. From this list, you can view or edit designs or create new designs. Again, I think you need to get quite a ways into the game before you start doing that. Adding a new design involves selecting a ship whole and then adding components to the design in the ship design screen. Okay, so every ship we have has a basic hull, and then that has bays on it, and we put the components in the bays. Okay, 2 of 5 construction yards. Construction yards are where you build new ships for your empire. This includes spaceports, which are usually the fastest way to build new ships. That's what we talked about, right? The ancient Actarian spaceport. Your colonies can also build ships and bases. Construction yard list. This screen lists all of the current construction yards in your empire. Check in the sort and filter options at the top of the panel. You can sort by construction speed or construction wait times. Again, when things get big, you can see right here we could sort this by construction wait time. Trawaz has the shortest of those. You can also see here for Trawaz, you can see what is in the queue. It is building the civilian craft for now. The construction ship is under construction from Troas, and then the civilian ships come next because we always take precedence with the capital ships. When zoomed out on the galaxy or system level, the construction yards are highlighted on the map. System and location badges also indicate spaceports using the yellow construction icon. Hovering over an item in the list will ping the location on the map. Okay, good to know. New construction yard locations. We briefly talked about this. This screen lists colonies where you can build new spaceports. Check the sort filter. When zoomed out on the galaxy or system level, the new spaceport locations are highlighted on the map. Okay, queuing new spaceports. The button at the right allows you to queue construction of a new spaceport at the colony if you wanted to. All right, we're not going to do that right now, of course. 4 of 5 construction ships, and here we get to the sneaky renegade. So I'm going to come back to this for a second. Remember when I went to exploration, you can see all of your exploration ships. The built ones are, kind of opaque. The ones that are currently building are in red, or if they're disabled, they're in red. Same kind of thing with construction. We can go here. It's not the first button, it's the third one, and you can see all of your construction ships. We've got it on manual. We can change that. And let's go back to the tour. Let's go to 3. When zoomed out, queuing new spaceports. Oh, we looked at that. Construction ships are mobile construction yards. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. These move out to places and build things otherwise in your empire. They're not here building on your planet necessarily or something like that. They're going out and building things at other star systems. at the planets within your own system or moons. That's what construction ships are for. Okay. They can also repair immobile damaged ships. They can even repair abandoned ships and bases encountered through exploration. Building a new base requires construction resources. So the first action of a construction ship, when it's assigned a construction mission, is to travel to the nearest spaceport and load the required resources. Okay, this lists all of the ships. We already knew that. Um, and when you're on this and you zoom out, it'll show all the different construction ships, which is helpful. And that's always the case. As you zoom out, if you're selected on something, it will show what you're selected on. Finally, build order. The build order screen provides a quick way to build a large number of ships. We don't need to do that yet. We're not going to look at it. As you can see, time is still clicking a little bit here as we're just waiting to get Warfield experiments. We've gone now through this ship construction. We've got the sneaky renegade that's building. When that builds, we can start then, once that's built, we can move that to places we've explored and build other things. Okay, in the process of rebuilding the spaceport, we have received a tech boost in vectoring engines. Awesome. So take me down to the spaceport. Okay, we learned something here. You can see the spaceport's fully operational. It is building our second scout ship. And as a matter of fact, let's go over here, make sure the Jubilant Express is on manual. You can see this is now built. Okay, it's no longer red. So we have two scout ships when we get our warp drives. And that'll be very, very important, of course. Okay, we will dismiss that, but that will then take us to research. And because we just got something there, the vectoring, which helps you with enhanced maneuvering, good time to come and look at research. Before I do that, I'm going to take just a quick break. If your screen jumps, grab a drink, and I'll be right back. All right, research. One of the most important parts of this or any other Forex game, obviously, and this research tree is incredible. It's massive. You can really go after different things depending on how you want to play, what your goals are. It's really, really well done. And before we jump in here, now you can see early Warfield experiments. That's what we're researching right now. But you can see we've got progress bars here. When we did the ancient Agdarian spaceport, it said we learned some things about vectoring. So you see thrust vector here. We've already now gotten a little bit of a bonus here. So it might be something we want to target as we move forward because we've already researched, about half of it, it looks like. But we'll talk more about this in just a second. I want to exit this really quickly and pause, okay? So we've got exploration. We've talked about the building. There are a couple of different things to know about research before I jump directly into the research screen, which is right up here. It'll always tell you what you're researching. If you ever have any questions, go to the Galactopedia as far as research goes, and you can look at all the different things you can research right down here in research. It'll tell you everything about the research screen and all of the different components and things that you can research in the game. So just something to keep in mind there. There are a couple of different ways to get to that research screen. Again, that one or over here at research. But let's look at the big kind of general overall research. 55% towards the warp drive. We already knew that. Maximum concurrent projects, and you see one there. That means we can be researching one thing at a time here early in the game. Later on, as we advance as a civilization, we get more scientists, other things that can happen down the road. You can start to research, maybe two, maybe three things. Now, you don't have to. This would allow you to pick it, but we could go to two here, but it would slow everything down in half. So I guess it is available for us to go to 2, 3, 4, 5. We could get going, but we don't have enough research points that are coming in here. Maximum potential research 30, actual research output 30. Okay, so I was just wrong about that. My bad. Right now, though, we'll want to keep this at 1, right? Because we don't have maximum potential research up enough to do 2 or 3. It would be a waste. We would never get to the end of anything if we were researching, like, let's say, three things at once. Actual research output 30. So let's read these. Your empire's maximum potential research points from the population at your colonies and the labs at your research stations. Well, we don't have any of those yet, of course. This includes all research bonuses from research locations, which we'll talk about when we build one. Okay, so 30, that's the maximum. 12 from the colony population, 18 from research stations. I believe that's because of the spaceport, and it is. If we look down here, research stations, we get 18 points from the ancient Actarian spaceport, and that spaceport comes with a bonus of plus 5% for reactor research. Just, you got to keep those bonuses in mind. They can help as you stretch out over time. Actual research output. Your Empire's actual research points available to research projects. This is the maximum potential research modified by your Empire's research funding level, right? So if we're not putting enough money into funding, the actual research output will be less than the maximum. We are putting enough in there now, and so the maximum's 30. Our actual output is 30, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But again, just like with construction and exploration, if you want to know where your research stations are, click on research, and this button will tell you all of your research stations, how much research output they're giving you, any bonuses that they have. That's all right here, and you can sort it. You can sort it here if you want to know who gives me the most bonuses, etc. Okay? New research locations, well, we don't have any of those. We got the spaceport, but we don't have any new ones that aren't being used. Research bonus amounts. These are bonus amounts that come from different, either because we're Actarian, because things we found, or because of characters. And so you can always go here and look, what bonuses am I getting? Construction research, plus 15%, because we're Octarian or Actarian. I should pronounce our peoples correctly. All research, we get a plus 10 because we're Actarian and we have a Republican form of government. Reactor research, we get a plus 5% from Trawaz, the research station at Trawaz. Industrial research, we get a plus 5% from our leader. And high tech research, we get a plus 2 from our leader. So we're getting some nice bonuses from our leader. So you can always go here when you're trying to decide what to research and say, well, hey, we're really good at construction research, right? Because we're Actarians, but we also get a plus 10 for all research. So if we're doing construction research, we get a plus 25%. That's really powerful, right? Scientists, we have none of these characters yet. Okay, so we're going to stay at one. We're at the maximum output, so we don't need to go look at the funding level. Let's then go to the research tree. And when we go to the research tree, it takes us to the one we're currently researching, early warp field experiments. And you can go here and you can see size 75. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we go. It'll always show you your bonus when you go over the field. So if we went to proton ionization, you can look up there and it'll show you, because of all of the bonuses we have a plus 10 research speed for that project. Enhanced maneuvering, plus 10. Okay, now we said we're good at construction, right? So let's jump to engines, assault pods, damage control, construction. Okay, and now we go to the construction area. And let's look at that. Expanded civilian ships. If you look at that one, plus 25% research speed for this project, just as we saw in the bonuses. But let's go back down to our warp field drive. You can see how dang big this thing is, right? Uh, there's finally, I found early warp field experiments after going back and forth, up and down. There it is. So this one, you can see plus 10 research speed for this project. Okay, it's going to take 1.6 years to research, and we've got one concurrent project. That means this one. Okay, when it says one, it's not really concurrent with something else. It's concurrent with itself. It is 55% complete. We could cancel it if we want to, or we could click to initiate crash program. What the heck is that? Well, that is when you double the speed. Basically you pay money to double the speed. Okay, so if we click that, left click, initiate crash research, I think early in the game you should always do this. Now, I didn't do it right at the start because you wouldn't even know what the heck I was up to until we explain other things. Um, but once we do that, we cannot cancel it. It's sunk costs, right? So for 3,343 credits, we are going to crash research this, and you can see the crash research symbol there. And now when we look up there, it now says 191 days to research. So it was about what, 380, and now it's 191 because we're in a crash program, and you see crash program there, 2 times the speed. Then you see what we're actually researching. Skip drives. It's a hyperdrive. It's got a size of 20. Now that size matters when you start to customize your ships, the different bays that this component can fit into. Crew requirement 15. That also can become important, but we'll talk more about that when we eventually customize our ships. Static energy used 5 per second. Okay, what the heck is that? Well, we'll talk more about energy consumption, but essentially the way this game works is you have fuel, that fuel is converted into static energy, and that's what you use to propel your ship forward for defenses and for attack, for any kind of weapons that you have. But certainly we'll talk about that as we move forward. What does it take to build? 4 Mebnar, 4 Carbonite, 4 Polymer, 2 Emerus crystals, and 2 Necro stones. We know nothing about this yet, right? I mean, this is something that'll come up when we start doing mining and resources. As it is now, it will use whatever stockpile we started the game with, and the game will, buy anything that we need once we get going. Skip drives are already researched, and we're going to be putting them on ships. What is the hyperdrive speed? 10K. Jump range is 3 million. Okay, we don't see another. We don't have the next thing here because when we did research, we said we want it covered up. Well, hyperspace tech, there's only one thing available. Now, as we uncover some other things, there's more hyperspace tech that will be revealed, but as we played it, it's random and it's only showing us the very next thing that we can research. Always early Warfield should be the first one. Don't cancel it. Do it. Just do it. Then we have queued projects over here. But before we get there, look, you can exit the research. We are going to read through the research tour here. You can research up to 1 concurrent projects. Okay. Um, Yeah, I was right. I knew I was right. Even though that they would allow us to click higher on that other screen to go up to like 6 concurrent projects, we cannot do that yet. I knew that was the case. This tells you your limit. It's 1. Build more research stations to increase the maximum number of concurrent research projects. That's why we only have 1. Well, I apologize for nothing, so I apologize for that. Then, if you want to, you can go up and down the tree this way, just scrolling, right? So if you want to just scroll around and check things out, you can certainly do that. Or you can go to the specific thing that maybe you want to research. How about engines? Okay, this takes us to engines, and you see engines right up here. We've already got some things, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have any spacecraft at all. We've got Starship Engines, Starship Maneuvering. We already talked about how we've got a bonus here for enhanced maneuvering just because we did the spaceport. You can see down here in construction, we've already got a few things that we just start the game with. Basic mining, basic energy collection, and then you can start to compare these things. So let's go to engines because I think that's a good one. Starship Engines, all right? And when we're hovering over this, you can see all of the breakdown and the stats for Starship Engines. Now, you may say, well, I see 2 things, Ion Engine Fighter, or FTR. You don't know it's fighter yet, and Ion Engine. What's the difference? Well, in this game, you can build big carrier ships that have small little fighters on them, okay? And those are different. Those little fighters are different when it comes to builds. And so it's always kind of, separated this way. Maybe not for directional thrusters, of course, when I look at that. But let's go to proton ionization. You can see it's separated out here fighter. But the one on the right, just the plain old proton engine, is all we're worried about now. We're a long ways away from building fighters that come off of carriers, right? What is this? War in the Pacific? Starship engines. This is what you want to be looking for, though. Look to the right there, ion engine. Maximum thrust 15,000. Max energy use 2.8 per second. Okay, let's look at proton ionization. Maximum thrust 16,500. Max energy use 2 per second. So as you can see, as you go along here, it's going to incrementally improve your thrust, and it's going to also incrementally improve the amount of energy you use. Now, you may be moving further faster, so you may use the same amount of energy, but the amount of energy used per second is going to be less, right? And so you can go down here and start to compare, how much is this improving my ships when we go from Starship engines to proton ionization. And it'll show you all the energy that's used, the vectoring, which is kind of your maneuverability, and any defense. For instance, it'll also tell you what it takes to build a proton engine: 6 steel, 6 carbonite, 3 polymer. Okay, so just to give you an idea of how you want to kind of compare these two things. Okay, so we can research one, we're doing it. We could jump to weapons. There's weapons, early beam weapons we already have. We've also got early torpedo weapons. They are obviously quite a bit different. You probably want both, but we'll talk about that as we continue to research. We've got troops, reactors, shields, hyperspace, engines, assault pods, jump to fighters and assault pods. So we just talked about those fighters. And down here, you can see starfighters, all right? And they're just little fighter ships. Think of them as like the F-22 or something. And then you have assault pods because you have infantry troops, and they will need to be in assault pods to assault a planet. Armor, damage control, construction. I already said we're good at construction, and so we may really want to push on these paths because we get a plus 25% on that. You've got mining and energy, targeting and countermeasures, sensor scanners and stealth, exploration and colonization, which will become very important soon. Storage and I mean, as I said, this is just massive. You could also pick it from here if you like to see the script, but these pictures will take you there as well. The game does something here that I'm not sure if I like or not. I think it's kind of a cheat, to be honest with you. It tells you what it thinks you should build next. And it's telling us early energy deflectors is what we should build next. What do they do? Well, we could go read about them, and we will in the Galactopedia, but basically you get the idea, right? They're deflector shields. So there you can go on our ships, and they're defensive. They're defensive, and they can keep us from taking damage on our ships. They are deflector shields. That's what the game thinks we should do next. Should we? I don't know, but I'm not going to sit here and min-max the game yet. I'm just going to pick it. And as you can see, it starts to queue these up. And you always want to at least have one, because when this gets done, you don't want to waste any time before we go to that. We'll come back and look at this, again as energy deflectors start to count down. Now, as I said, I mean, we had some bonuses out here. So if we just look from top to bottom, what would be the next thing maybe we would want to pick? Well, I don't know, constant beam weapons, or we could do early energy torpedoes since you've got to have one to go on to the next. We could do all of this. Zero G combat. Well, that's exactly what we need, right? Early energy deflectors is now highlighted, and it has a 2 next to it. It's the second in the queue. All right. It wants us to do armor plating next. Sure. Let's just go ahead and do it as it suggests it. That's why I said I like it in the sense it gives you a real feel for where you should be putting your next research, but it kind of gives the game away a little bit. It's almost a little too good of what you should be doing next. Now, of course, if you're in a different kind of civilization, a different kind of empire, maybe you would do something a little different. Maybe once you play the game a little bit, you say, you know what, I don't need to do armor plating for a long time. We're not going to run into anybody else. Maybe I'd rather do research labs, which we'll just put forth. Oh, the reason this popped up, there are now initiation costs for some of your research. So just to research labs, we would have to pay 500 credits, 50 silicon, 50 steel, and 50 polymer just to start that project. Okay, we're fine with that. We'll pay the cost. We also want to make sure we do crash research through the early game. I think that that's very helpful. Let's go through the tour really quickly here. Since I talked about most of it, I think projects must be researched to unlock their benefits. Researching takes time. The speed of research is determined by the research output from your colonies and your research stations. We saw that right on the main page. Research projects provide the following types of new tech that can improve your empire in various ways: new ship hulls, planetary facilities, colonization, ground troops. It goes on and on, diplomatic relations, so on and so forth. So, I mean, you can let's just actually look at that real quick. If we click on diplomacy, we're Acdarian, so we actually have the second level of diplomacy. We actually have the third level of diplomacy as well. I mean, we're off screen here. We start with that just because we're Octarian. If you play a different species, that's not going to be the case, okay? But we've already got advanced diplomacy just because of our species type. Okay, you can also see we've already got research labs a little bit out here. Why is that? Well, I don't know. We'll find out later. Okay, so order of research projects are linked together by paths. Parent projects must be researched before child projects. As you research one, any child projects, usually to the right, are enabled. Blind versus non-blind. We talked about that, right? We are playing blind. We don't know where this goes in the third case, right? Okay, next, 204. You can move the view in the research screen by left-clicking and dragging the mouse. So we can move it like that, right? Scroll wheel. So we could pull this out, complete diploma. Oh, we're already to complete diplomacy. So Agdarians obviously very good at diplomacy. They've already gotten through 4 levels of that just at the start. You get those automatically. The mouse scroll wheel. Okay, hold down the control key. Um, Zoom in and zoom out. Okay, I'll let you read that. Viewing and researching a project. Hovering over a project will provide the summary. Note that you can hover over a project in the research queue. Left click a project in the queue to research it. Right click it to remove it from the queue. So if we right click that, it would go out. We can also move it up and down over here. Initiation costs. We just talked about this. Some projects require an initiation cost. Early games, certainly you're willing to pay that. Extra requirements. Some projects have extra research bonus requirements before you can begin researching them. Well, we'll find that out when we get there. At the right is your control panel, maximum concurrent projects. Again, that threw me for a loop when they let us do the up down on the other screen. Zoom in and out, jump buttons. You can click on hyperspace. I showed you how to do that. You can filter projects. So below this is a drop down list that allows you to filter the projects that are shown. Okay, so if we wanted to just go to weapons, now it just shows us weapons. This is all weapons. It's totally filtered for that, right? Let's go back up here. No, cancel. Let's go back up here, all projects, and now we could see them all. So if you just want to focus on weapons, that's what that's for. Okay, next suggested project. Fine. Research queue. We've talked about that. Exiting research. Let's do it. Close. So those tours are very helpful. And if you ever get a little lost, just look up here for the question marks and you can activate them. All right. So we've looked at that one. And over here, I still don't see why they will allow you to go up there. It really threw me off. Okay, I'll quit talking about it. So we've got the one research station. Let's go ahead and play, and let's speed up just a little bit because we were on just the regular speed. I want to get to, and let's double click to go to our home moon and we'll back up. But I want to get through the research to this warp drive. There's not a real reason to do much else. We could build another, and let's go to the Actarian spaceport. You can also build things by going right here. Oh, okay. In the process of rebuilding, we received a tech boost in fighter bays. Again, when we get to fighter bays over in the research tree, we will have gone a little bit down the path when that happens. Okay, we're on the Ancient Actarian spaceport. Excellent. We can now go here and do build a new ship. All right, so that's another way to do it. You could do it up here in ship construction, but you can also do it directly on the base. And here to the left, it'll tell you the different ships we could possibly build here. We could build a navigator, the exploration ship. We could build another construction ship, or we could build an escort. Now, escort is a military ship. It's something we haven't built yet. Let's pause. Let's see what the game just told us. New exploration ship completed. Construction has been completed at the ancient Actarian spaceport. And you can see it right here. The Jubilant Empress has now been built. I think I said before it had been built. It had not. It had been started. It was started to be built, and now it's been completed. So now we have two scout ships. They're both here. You may say, what do I do with my ships when they're not doing anything? Well, really, once we get going, once we have warp drive, it's very seldom that a ship should ever be doing nothing. Okay? You should have it trying to do something, and when they show as idle, well, it says no mission. When you see no mission, you want to get them out doing something. All right, so we're on the spaceport. We got our two scout ships. They can just hang out here. We also have a cargo shuttle that's a civilian ship. But on the spaceport, let's click on build new ship or base, and you can see the three different kinds of ships we can build here at the spaceport. Again, escort is a military ship. We'll get into that next episode, I would imagine. We're going to build another construction ship. You always want construction ships if you can get them. Over here, you can also see that the civilians had asked for a small freighter. So the spaceport was building that. Our construction ship will jump in front of that in line here as we go. You may have noticed this was clicking higher as we got here. That's because we're still rebuilding this spaceport. These are the shields out here, right? So we have two layers of shields actually before you get to the hull. All right, and you can see that shields 576 over here to the right. You can see what that breakdown is, or you could, but let's go ahead and keep going. Dismiss, play. We're now at 73%. Let's actually get on the Jubilant Express, leave the construction yard. All right, we've got it on manual, so we're in control there. Manual control there. Let's go look at our construction ships. We have one, the Sneaky Renegade, we've got on manual. The Lavish Splendor is what we'll be building here at the spaceport. It is being built. It's in red. You can see it here. It's health under construction, clicking up, clicking away. That will also be manually controlled. Looks like something else was built. Oh, that cargo shuttle that was behind us in the queue is now off. Oh, I guess because that was already. Oh, you know what it is? The spaceport has two construction yards, right? So it could work on both of them at the same time. Now, we have a lot of credits, so I'm going to continue queuing up things to build, and I know we're going to need more scout ships, so let's build another one of those. You can see the construction ship is almost done here. We're also going to build another construction ship, okay? And then next turn, we'll probably start building the escorts, just so we have a little defense. New construction ship completed. Okay, at Trawaz. So that was down on the planet. I hadn't looked at that one, but Trawaz has quite a bit queued up here. It's got a small freighter, which is a civilian ship, another small freighter, and then a mining ship. That is also a civilian ship. Now, we build the construction ships that build mining stations, but this is an actual ship that does mining. It's a little bit different. We got there. Early warp. All right. Excellent. Hyperspace technology discovered. Using the ancient knowledge recovered in our earlier exploration, we have developed our first primitive hyperdrive. This breakthrough technology allows our starships to travel faster than light. This momentous discovery means that we can quickly traverse our own solar system, exploring and expanding. Okay, we should quickly exploit this new capability by redesigning and building new ships with these hyperdrives. Well, how does that work? I'm going to save that for next time. I'm going to call this an episode. When I come back, we're going to figure out what to do with this hyperspace and start jumping around. This has been Strategy Gaming Dojo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.